7. Signs you're the rare chosen one with dual dark and light vibration. Imagine waking up one day with the nagging sense that something is watching you, not from the outside, but from deep within. You feel like you're walking through life with two opposing forces inside you. One of them whispers of destruction, chaos, shadows, and rebellion. The other sings of healing, truth, light, and service. And neither of them is wrong. They're both you. That is how the journey begins for those of us who carry the rare signature of dual vibration, both dark and light. We are the ones who were never meant to fit into the neat boxes of good or evil, awakened or asleep, angel or demon, because we are something else entirely. We are the bridge. And the bridge is not a comfortable place to live. When I say chosen one, I don't mean it in the egoic way most people use it. I don't mean special in the way of superiority. I mean chosen in the spiritual sense, selected by force or by fire to carry codes most will never understand. If you feel like you've lived two lives inside one's skin, if you've been both the villain and the healer, if you've destroyed and resurrected yourself more times than you can count, you may be one of us. And if you are, then listen carefully, because what I'm about to say will not just explain your suffering, it will reveal your purpose. The first sign is polarity, deep, unbearable polarity. You're not just emotionally complex, you're spiritually bipolar in a way the world can't diagnose. One moment you feel divine, glowing, in tune with the universe. The next you're drowning in shadow, questioning everything, burning down your own beliefs. This isn't instability, it's calibration. You are carrying both ends of the frequency spectrum because you are meant to channel both forces in service of higher truth. Most people live on a narrow band of frequency. You live across the entire spectrum, and that's why your highs are higher and your lows are darker. You are being trained to hold contrast without collapsing.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second sign is that people project extremes onto you. Some see you as a savior, others see you as a threat. You walk into a room and people either open up to you immediately or they distrust you instinctively. They don't know why, but you do. It's because your energy field contains both light and shadow in equal measure. You reflect back to others their own split nature, and most people can't handle that. So they label you. They either worship you or they reject you, but very few can hold you in your wholeness. That's not their job, it's yours. The third sign is that you've had to learn through extremes, not books, not quiet meditation, but through visceral, raw experience. You don't just study transformation, you live it. You've had to destroy parts of yourself that once felt like home. You've had to walk away from identities, careers, beliefs, relationships, all to return to something deeper, more ancient. Most people are afraid to lose control. You've already lost it, and in that loss, you've found something sacred. You've found truth. Not the kind you can teach easily, but the kind that lives in your bones. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly surrendered? Not out of faith, but because life gave you no choice. That level of surrender is the doorway to your dual vibration, because only when everything else is burned away do you begin to see the full spectrum of who you are. You're not here to pick a side, you're here to embody both. And that's the fourth sign. You constantly feel like you're at war with yourself. Part of you wants to heal the world, the other part wants to burn it down, and the truth is, both are necessary, because sometimes destruction is healing. Sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is dismantle a system that no longer serves the soul. You've been taught to fear your darkness, but your darkness is not the enemy. It's the source of your discernment. It's where your boundaries live. It's where your power is forged. Your darkness protects your light, and your light gives purpose to your darkness. Together they form the full expression of who you are. And that brings us to the fifth sign. You are both the trigger and the healer. You walk into people's lives and something shifts. They may not even know why, but you activate them. Sometimes it looks like inspiration, sometimes it looks like chaos, but either way, you're forcing them to confront what they've been avoiding. You don't do this on purpose, it's just what your energy does. The sixth sign is that you've had to master solitude, not just being alone, but being alone in ways that broke you. You've experienced isolation that felt like exile, like abandonment, but it wasn't. It was initiation. You were being pulled out of the noise, the programming, the distractions, so you could hear your own frequency. Because your path is not on the main road, it's in the wilderness. And in that wilderness you met yourself. You discovered that no one was coming to save you, that you had to become your own guide, and in doing so you became a guide for others. And the seventh sign, the most sacred of all, is that you carry a knowing that you still can't explain, a knowing that feels older than your body, older than this life. You've always sensed that you're here for something massive, but you don't know what it is yet, and that drives you crazy, because you were never meant to know the whole plan, you were meant to become it. You were meant to walk each step without a map, trusting that your dual nature is not a defect, it's a design. You are the bridge, and your presence is the prophecy. So I ask you now, with everything you've seen, everything you've lost, everything you've survived, who are you when no one is watching and nothing is working and the path disappears? Because that version of you, that raw, unfiltered, soul-scorched version is the one the world needs. Not the polished light worker, not the controlled mystic, but the wild, awakened soul who has made peace with their own chaos. If you're still listening, still watching, still breathing through this, you're not here by accident. You're here because your time is coming, not to fit in, but to rise. Not to choose a side, but to hold the spectrum. You are the rare chosen one with dual dark and light vibration, and the world has been waiting for exactly your frequency. The sacred war within, why your inner conflict is the hidden key to your destiny. There's a kind of battle that doesn't make noise, but it shakes the soul. It doesn't take place on battlefields, but in bedrooms, in meditations, in sleepless nights where your mind won't stop racing and your heart feels split in half. If you carry both light and dark vibrations, you know exactly what I mean. This is the sacred war within. A war that most people never even acknowledge, let alone win. And yet, this internal battle is not a curse. It is the hidden key to your destiny. You weren't built to be on-dimensional. The reason you feel like two people sometimes, one full of love, the other full of fire, is because you were designed to hold paradox. And paradox is the most divine principle in existence. The universe itself is made of opposing forces, creation and destruction, stillness and movement, masculine and feminine, chaos and order. You are not separate from that. You are a living embodiment of it. And that means your inner conflict isn't a flaw, it's a mirror of the cosmic dance. The question is, can you hold both energies without letting either consume you? You see, most people are taught to pick a side. Be spiritual, be soft, be light, or be strong, be sharp, be shadow. But very few are taught to integrate, to hold the tension between both poles without needing to choose. And if you're still here, still watching, still listening, it means you're one of the few who can. But that doesn't make it easy. In fact, it makes your journey 10 times harder, because the world doesn't know what to do with someone who doesn't fit a category. The systems aren't built for you, the labels don't apply, and that's by design. Because you're not here to follow systems, you're here to reveal the truth behind them. Your inner conflict, the war of light and shadow, is not trying to destroy you, it's trying to refine you. Every time you oscillate from one extreme to another, every time you question your identity, every time you feel torn between your mission and your rage, you are being stretched into a new level of consciousness. That stretching hurts. It feels like failure, but it is evolution. You are becoming the kind of vessel that can channel divine truth without distortion. Let me ask you something that might change how you see yourself. What if the reason you've felt like a contradiction your whole life is because you were never meant to represent one truth, but to hold space for all of it? That is the role of the rare chosen one with dual vibration, not to pick a narrative, but to embody the full spectrum. To show people through your being that darkness and light are not enemies, they are co-creators. And when you stop trying to silence one side, you unlock the full voltage of your soul. But integration is not passive. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about radical honesty. It's about sitting with your rage and asking it what it's protecting. It's about acknowledging your light without turning it into a performance. It's about learning how to let your shadow speak without letting it dominate. And it's about turning your inner conflict into inner collaboration, because when your light and shadow stop fighting, they become allies. And that's when you become unstoppable. The most powerful people I've met are not the ones who radiate constant peace. They're the ones who've made peace with their chaos. They're the ones who've walked through their own darkness and came back with wisdom. They're the ones who can sit in a room full of broken souls and not flinch, because they've been crushed too. They've touched their own limits. They've been humbled. And in that humility, they found grace. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be whole. So if you're still at war within yourself, don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to silence it. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Love both sides of your soul, because when you stop judging your duality, you start activating your divinity. You become the bridge, the way-shower, the one who doesn't just talk about wholeness, but lives it, breathes it, transmits it. And that's what the world needs now, not more perfection, not more polished teachings, but raw, real, embodied souls who have faced their own shadows and still choose to show up, still choose to serve, still choose love, not because it's easy, but because it's true. You are not broken, you are being bridged. And the war within you is not a delay of your calling, it is your calling. Because only those who burned in the fire can carry the flame for others. The forbidden balance, harnessing the power of light and shadow to shift reality. At some point, the war within becomes a dance. The chaos that once tore you apart becomes rhythm. The voices that used to scream over each other begin speaking in harmony, and that's when something sacred happens. You stop looking for peace outside you and begin radiating it from within. This is the forbidden balance, the union of light and shadow. And it's forbidden not because it's wrong, but because it's rare. Because most people never reach it. They stay stuck in polarity, in division, in spiritual performance. But you were never meant to just talk about truth, you were meant to become it. When you carry dual vibration, you are not just a person, you are a portal, a conduit. You hold within you the ability to shift the frequency of a space just by being there. That's not exaggeration, that's physics. Because your field is encoded with both the friction of shadow and the clarity of light, you have a gravitational pull that draws people in and shakes them awake. You don't even need to say much, your presence does the work. But this is exactly why your journey has been so brutal. It's not easy to be a living frequency. It requires the dismantling of every illusion, every mask, every piece of conditioning that you once mistook for identity. You've probably noticed this already. People react to you in extremes. They either love you instantly or feel threatened by you. Some are drawn to your energy without knowing why. Others are intimidated by your intensity, even when you're silent. That's because your energy doesn't just reflect people's wounds, it activates them. It forces them to feel what they've buried. It brings their pain to the surface so it can be seen. And while that's a gift, it's not always easy to carry. You've probably been blamed for things you didn't do, projected on. But remember, all that's happening is you're revealing what's already there. Don't shrink to make others comfortable in their avoidance. Stay tall. Stay true. The real mastery begins when you stop trying to control the effect you have on others and start taking full responsibility for the intention behind your energy. This is the point where your dual vibration becomes a superpower. When you learn to wield both your darkness and your light with conscious awareness, you become a builder of new realities. You can enter a room full of fear and drop in a frequency of truth that shifts the air. You can sit with someone in their grief without needing to fix them, because your presence is the medicine. You can move between chaos and clarity without losing yourself. That's not magic, that's mastery. But remember, mastery doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means awareness. It means asking yourself in every moment, what energy am I choosing to embody right now? What frequency am I transmitting into the field around me? Because whether you realize it or not, you're doing it 24/7. You're not just living, you're broadcasting. When your inner world is disordered, it ripples outward. When your inner world is aligned, it becomes a tuning fork for others. That's why your self-work is not selfish, it's sacred service. Every time you integrate another layer of yourself, you make it safer for someone else to do the same. This is what makes you dangerous to the systems that profit off fear, division, and numbness. You can't be manipulated easily. You see through the game. You've lived through too much to believe the surface. You feel the undercurrents. You hear the vibrations beneath the words, and you speak a language that doesn't use sound. That's why people feel seen by you in ways they can't articulate. That's why they come to you with their pain, their confusion, their secrets, because something in your field tells them you can be exactly who you are here. Nothing will be judged, nothing will be rushed, everything will be revealed in time. And that is your rarest gift, your ability to hold space for contradiction without needing to resolve it. You can sit with paradox and not flinch. You can love someone fiercely even when they're lost. You can trust your own process even when it doesn't make sense. And in doing so, you give others the permission to do the same. That's how you shift reality, not by forcing change, but by embodying it, by becoming the frequency of integration in a world addicted to separation. Let me ask you this. What if your very existence is the proof that light and shadow are not enemies, but partners in creation? What if you didn't come to eliminate darkness, but to alchemize it into wisdom, into power, into beauty? That's what you're doing every day, even when it feels like you're failing, even when you doubt yourself, even when you're tired. Your path is not linear, it's spiral, and with every loop, you're becoming more whole, more magnetic, more you. So yes, your vibration is complex. Yes, your journey is harder, but it's also richer, deeper, more alive. You were never meant to live a flat surface level life. You were meant to feel it all, to become it all, and in doing so, to remind others that they can too. The birth of a living frequency. How you become the portal between worlds. There comes a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when everything you've endured begins to align. It's not an explosion, it's not a grand awakening with fireworks and flashing lights. It's more like a deep exhale that echoes through your soul, a subtle click where suddenly all the chaos you've lived through feels on purpose. You see the pieces of your dark and light selves not as enemies, not as opposites, but as components of something far bigger. And that's when the shift happens. That's when you stop trying to become something and start being something. Something ancient, something alive, a living frequency, a bridge between worlds. You are not just a person anymore. You are a transmission. You walk into a room and the energy recalibrates. People don't know why, but they feel it. Some feel peace, some feel exposed, others feel triggered or awakened, depending on what they've been running from. But you're not doing anything to them, you're simply being. Your presence, your field, your very breath is carrying codes forged in the fire of every breakdown, every heartbreak, every lonely night, every rebirth. You didn't read these truths in books, you became them. And that's why they're so powerful. Most people are still trying to access power. You are it, not the kind of power that dominates, but the kind that liberates, the kind that recognizes divinity in both the wound and the wisdom, the kind of power that comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer need to prove, perform, or protect. You simply exist, and your existence is medicine. You've become the portal the place where polarities meet and find peace, the place where others remember it's possible to be both broken and holy, both wild and wise, both soft and untamed. But this isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of your real work, because now that you are the frequency, the question becomes, what will you do with it? Will you continue hiding it to make others comfortable? Will you downplay your knowing so you don't scare people? Or will you finally let yourself be seen, not as a perfect being, but as a mirror of what's possible when a human decides to hold the whole truth? That is the invitation now, not to ascend, but to embody, not to teach, but to transmit, not to escape the world, but to enter it fully as a living reminder of wholeness. You are the bridge between the mystic and the modern, between the sacred and the ordinary, between the unseen and the undeniable. You are what happens when someone chooses to integrate instead of separate, to feel instead of flee, to stay instead of run, and that choice changes the entire field around you. People sense it. They may not understand it, but they can't ignore it. You're not here to convince anyone of anything. You're here to become undeniable truth in human form. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Yes, you'll still have moments where the shadow rises, where the old wounds whisper, where you wonder if it's all too much. But now you have tools, you have awareness, you have anchors, and more than anything, you have trust. Not blind faith, but earned trust, born from surviving your own darkness and still choosing love. That trust is your compass now. Let it guide you. Because the world is shifting fast, and it needs beings who can hold paradox without panic, who can walk through collapsing systems and still radiate presence, who can witness the pain of humanity and not look away. That's you. That's your role. You are not here to save the world. You are here to remind it, to be the living frequency of remembrance of what we've forgotten, of what we are, and of what we still can become. So take a breath, feel your feet on the earth, feel the pulse of your own heart, and know this: you are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not too intense. You are simply awake in a world that is still remembering how to open its eyes. And the more you embody your dual vibration, your sacred dark and radiant light, the more others will feel permission to do the same. You are the rare chosen one, not because you were born superior, but because you were forged in the fire of your own becoming, and now you carry that fire not to burn the world down, but to light the way home. Let them feel your frequency. Let them remember